All right, hello, welcome back, everybody. PayPal and Patreon are down below if you want to support me. Only do so if you actually can. So today I'm going to quickly go through not the actual birth rate numbers themselves and those trend lines, but the factors behind, particularly the most recent acceleration in their decline that seems to have come about over the last 10 to 15 years. The sudden recent acceleration in their decline, for the most part, it has consistently come about in or at some point during the last decade, the 2010s, and there is still debate going on about it. And politically, tribal people will immediately want to blame something or another done by whatever group they see as the other side. However, as is always the case, that is not the case. And if you think back to recent developments, recent changes in life over the last 2 or 2.5 decades, as we've gone into the 21st century, it wasn't so much during the 2000s as it was during the 2010s, and that is truly worldwide, across nations of every level of development or quality of life. The rise in pervasive internet access. Over that time, the 2010s predominantly, you had the you had the true emergence and rapid prevalence everywhere of smartphones, excluding some people like me who still don't have one, predominantly because if I'm going to do stuff on a screen, I want to look at an actual sizable screen, and also because I don't feel like paying $1,000 for a phone. But everyone besides me has a smartphone and has had one for between 10 or 15 years now. So nowadays, for the last 10 or 15 years, people have perpetually had the internet and predominantly this social force of nature known as social media in front of their face, effectively 24/7. Hence, we've developed terms like permanently online. So, obviously, the question, how in particular has this caused birth rates to suddenly crash down even further? There are two primary sources that are causing this. The first one is what I call doom posting and the resulting behavior that triggers in you, the social media user, known as doom scrolling. And that is the scrolling through or jumping from one link to another, one retweet, one news article to another of highly negative, catastrophic, world ending things going on. Every latest video clip from this war happening over there, every latest prediction from somebody about how nukes are about to start flying, from one of the major news corporations, economists, about how all your groceries are going to quadruple in price overnight tomorrow for insert reason here. Latest article, video, post, retweet about how the opposing political group intends to seize power and kill you all and everyone you love. The publishing of these articles and retweeting of such posts and your reflexive, instinctive behavior of constantly looking at all of those instead of anything else, you're not drawn to negative or catastrophic or horrible news because you intrinsically like it more or find it more interesting, is a base instinct within you to immediately look at and pay attention to anything you, whether consciously or subconsciously, perceive as a potential danger, an underlying instinct that's still within us from back in the times where every second of every day was quite literally survival in one way or another from one moment to the next, because that instinct is driving you to want to assess the threat, see how much of a threat it is. That's the reason you're constantly drawn to those kinds of posts or retweets or articles or YouTube videos. This constant cycling of all of this being put in front of everybody's face, constantly being run through your head endlessly, puts you into a state of mind that would come about in our ancestors operating on a state of preparing or getting ready, constantly having a sort of underlying, perhaps even subconscious mentality of thinking you have to make sure you're ready for this, you have to save up enough for this. When you're predominantly mode switched into that mentality, That is not the human operating setting where you tend to want to have children. So that's one of the reasons that this recent plunge in birth rates has been brought about because of this artificially generated sense of impending immediate doom. And then the second aspect is the skewed perception of others that has now been generated in everybody's mind because social media, constantly in front of your face, predominantly from your smartphone, has now put on blast and made you aware of so much more immorality, evil, vileness in other people than you previously perceived as existing. In a conversation actually that I was having with my own parents a number of weeks ago about how I grew up with this false perception that back in their time, and there weren't really that many, to use YouTube safe language, promiscuous women flaunting their bodies to people and having relations with one man after the next. And my dad actually dismissively told me, oh no, they've always been there. There's always been plenty of them. However, now, with the existence of social media, even before OnlyFans was a thing, even just with regular things, with just Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, now said women and said men have an open audience of millions, hundreds of millions, billions, the entire world that they can instantly have access to and show themselves off to, and without any immediate risk of, physical harm of any kind because it's online. So now, from every town, from every state, from every country, from all over the world, they are all on there. And this is just talking about sexually promiscuous people and people who fall even further down that slippery slope. Then there's also other avenues and stuff, like people with interesting views, like insert group of people they don't like here should all be killed. Before present day, you really would not run into that many people who would willingly say stuff like that, whether they thought it or not, in public or in actual view of other people. However, now they have free reign and free access to say whatever they want to the entire world, especially on infamous websites like Reddit, is where you'll particularly find a lot of that stuff. But thus, the same point stands, obviously, that those people were always there. It's just that now all of them, everywhere from every corner of the world, are instantly in front of your face all the time. And this has rapidly skewed people's perceptions of each other, of other people, and is hugely contributing to not just regarding men and women, but just in general, is hugely contributing to the rapid surge in people's desire to avoid interactions. So those are the two big things, the two big factors that I wanted to get into for the larger part of the driving force behind this most recent plunge in birth rates over the last decade and a half or so. But anyway, that's it for this one. So thank you everybody for sticking around and listening. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already. PayPal and Patreon are down there if you want to support me and we'll do so if you actually can. There's a link in the description to a Google Drive folder with all kinds of different graphs and charts and data compilations across all kinds of different subjects. There's a link to my photography Instagram account under that. There's a link to my cat's YouTube channel in the top pinned comment. May God bless and protect all of you, and I will see you all around next time.